enslaved, that in the ancient past, once upon a time in a faraway land, there was an ancient trauma that occurred on this planet of some kind. And a lot of experts have maybe some different ideas. Some people think it was a comet that hit the Earth. Some people think it was a massive flood. Some people think it was the comet that caused the flood. Some people think it was some kind of intervention on a genetic level by scientific races that came from elsewhere, that basically did to us what we do to other countries and other species on the planet. And now we're just copying what they did to us. There's that theory. There's a lot of theories, but either way, something traumatized the psyche of humanity. Julian Jaynes brings it out in his thing about the bicameral mind. Um, uh, there's a lot of this in Carl Jung, where he talks about the shadow work. Well, he's talking about addressing and healing this ancient trauma. And this ancient trauma, just like our symbol archive from the ancient world, is actually encoded in our DNA through the phylogenetic memory that we all carry. That's why you talk to, say, Indigenous peoples or First Nations peoples, and they tell you about the wisdom of the elders or the wisdom of the ancestors, that you can tap into the wisdom of the ancestors. They're talking about the Akashic records, whatever. What we're talking about is that everything's recorded, and it carries through the human experience. And so there's a trauma that's with that, that was an initial trauma that many experts believe shocked the human psyche and actually created what we call the ego. That the ego, as it is now, didn't exist as it does now. And that's why the ego is like a child that's pretending to wear the emperor's clothes as the king of the house. And yet the true place is that it's that imperial self, that wise, intelligent self that you have, that everybody has, that was the king of the house, of the mind of the human. And then some trauma happened, and the defense mechanism, so it's like a compensatory thing that happens, right? Where now you're compensating because there's a deficiency because of the trauma, because of the wound. And when you overcompensate to protect yourself, you actually keep hurting yourself. And now that little ego voice becomes the dominant emperor of your mind. And that's the inner conspiracy that I've just described. That's if people aren't conspiracy theorists, start with the inner conspiracy and then work out from there, and everything will make sense.